you for joining us today on Cattywampus. We've got a great friend. We go way back, known him, and man, we agree on everything we've ever talked about. We've never been in an argument. We've never traveled bad together. We've never eaten a bad meal together. I mean, pretty much our experience has been spectacular for the last 10 minutes. It's pretty fair. And so we got Brad Banyas with us today with SaltyMF.
Yeah.
And we'll let you use your own imagination there with him, man. But thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, would that characterize our relationship so far? I mean,
absolutely, man. It was like relationships I used to like to have with women. 10 minutes and leave. So I really appreciate it.
It's 10 minutes. That back here is like at 2.5. Yeah, 2.5. So,
sorry, honey, that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
that was a long time ago. Well, hey, man, thanks for having me on the show. You know, we did get introduced to mutual friends, and I really saw what you were doing, and I liked what you were doing. I like the vibe of the show, and I know your history is you've done a lot kind of in the recovery space with Vision Warriors and some other things that you've done, and you know, I appreciate that, and so we're happy to be here. So I'm interested to get into the show, and thanks for the call out on SaltyMF. It's all about grit, attitude, and so you know.
And that's before we jump into the show, just to kind of preface a little bit on the backside of it, you were sharing with me here just a minute ago about the brand.
Yeah.
And like so SaltyMF, right? We all know, I mean, I love it. I love it. It's where it's, and I knew it's what I told Zach when we were sitting here talking before. He's like, so what do you think about him? Man, I like him. He's like, why you like him? You don't care what someone else thinks about him.
Yeah.
Right. And like, so I like that side of it, but tell us, how did that brand, what was, it was a pretty cool story that you shared.
Yeah. So, you know, it started really out, the short story is during COVID, I took one of my younger sons to the beach to get him away from all the stuff they've been taken out of school a couple of times. So we went down to Panama City. Of course, nobody was down there, so I let him run wild. It wasn't dangerous. There was really no one down there. And so I'm sitting on the beach and had a couple beers in maybe, and an old guy comes walking down the beach. He's kind of beachcombing, all right on the water's edge. He's got long hair, tats. He's probably in his 70s. And I'm the kind of person, I'm not afraid to go talk to someone if I think they're an interesting character. So I walked down to him, and we started talking. He really had a really good story. He's a super nice guy. And, you know, when I was leaving, I just said, you know, sir, I really enjoyed talking to you. You're one SaltyMFer. And we kind of laughed, and, you know, I kind of headed back on my chair, and I was sitting on my chair, and he screams up, and he's like, hey. I was like, yes, sir. You know, he goes, that'd be a funny t-shirt. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, SaltyMFer. And I just hit my head, and I was like, you know, this guy's an awesome guy. I mean, if you saw this guy and looked at this guy, 9 out of 10 people wouldn't give the guy the time of day. But I'd heard his story, and he was just gritty and salty and just a good dude. And so SaltyMF was built really to honor, you know, anybody that was salty, or you were talking about your great granddad and your grandfather. Yeah. And so we wanted to build a brand. Paul Chandra is my partner, Uncle Paulie. We wanted to build a brand.
Just like, Paulie.
So Paulie, yeah. Right, so Paulie's from Jersey, and Paul and I have been friends for 30 plus years. So my kids call him Uncle Paulie.
Uncle Paulie.
Yeah, Uncle Paulie. So he's a good dude. But so we wanted to do something to honor people. And the brand's all about independence. The GOAT, you know, stands for independence. SaltyMF stands for attitude. So our kind of tagline is the attitude wears well. And it's kind of evolved. We're a young brand. We're about 2 years old, but really out like offering apparel and stuff for like the last 16, 17 months. And it's kind of just exploded. We got into this NIL college space where we're sponsoring athletes. We were very fortunate to get on a show on Brinks TV called the NIL House with John Brinkus and Rob Vaca. And it's just helped our brand explode. And, but the main thing is to honor, you know, independence, honor that gritty, tough, you know, individual that never gives up and just, you know, goes through life. Cause we all have hard times, right? Yeah. Nobody comes out unscathed.
No,
nobody. And, you know, so salty kind of to us meant anyone could be salty, you know, an aunt that's salty, or your crazy uncle salty, or your dad was salty. And so, even though people at first think, oh, that's kind of vulgar, you guys are we're the good guys. Yeah. We're the good guys, we're not the bad guys. So thank you for asking about the brand, but yeah, it's a cool brand. So.
No, that's when we're sitting there talking. It's like, so I get today, this evening when we get done with this, go down to my grandfather being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and we look at the, we look at the tagline for the newspaper where he lives down there, and it's, married person's barefoot phenomenon.
Yeah.
Because he's apparently some state record for the mile he got barefoot because, he only had one pair of shoes. So and I thought it was all stories up to this point. So you get to go down there, but he's salty.
Yeah.
But he's salty in a way that's honor and respect of everybody around, yeah. So I love it. So how can they find Salt? What is it? SaltyMF.com?
Yeah. Just SaltyMF.com. We have a podcast as well. We'd like to have you on that. It's called the SaltyMF Goat. It's on, it's on Spotify and Apple and YouTube. I mean, it's on like 13 or 14 different venues. So we'd love to maybe have you on that show.
No, we'll do it. And I will definitely have all your contact info into details of this. But thanks for being here with us. I'm in, I know what you're about to share because we talked about it beforehand. I've never met anybody, because your experience that you're going to share was when you were 54. Yeah. So I've had this conversation with individuals over the years, where they find something out like this, but it was not 54 years.
Yeah.
It was maybe when they were 8 or 9 or 10 or 15 or 18, something that's generally and all that. And you prefaced it with the beautiful lie. Was it a beautiful lie? The beautiful lie.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great way to do it. So what's that Cattywampus event where you're, life's going along and then you just realize, man, just your world just got rocked. What was that?
Yeah. So, I've had an unbelievable life and wife, by the way, only 32 years. She's a doll. But I've had a great life, had great parents, brother, sister. They were just wonderful. And my parents passed. My dad passed about 6 years ago. My mom passed 2 years ago. And so my oldest son, who's 31, Connor, he's a good man. If you hear this, you did a good job, buddy. He really felt bad about it. But he's a very knowledgeable history guy, and he likes the lineage of our families and whatever. So he got on Ancestry.com, did the DNA thing to kind of link everybody up. And a while back, I found out, but about 2 years ago, he connected with someone. If you're on Ancestry.com and you're somehow DNA matches, they'll let you share emails so you can start communicating, see who you know and what. Well, he ran into a woman in North Carolina, and the DNA match really high, like an aunt type level. So he called me then and said, "Hey, do you know this person's name?" And I said, "No, I don't." And so it's a funny story because my dad would go out and get the paper when we had a place in North Carolina that was like a vacation place. So he'd go out to get a paper, and that son of a gun would be gone for like 5 hours. So, and he wasn't a runaround guy. Don't get me wrong. He's a stand-up guy. But I'm like, I don't know, maybe he wasn't getting a paper, Yeah. So I said, let it go. Everybody's gone, just let it go. Well, a year went by, and he had connected with this woman. Her name is Allison, and they started talking, and they were asking, "Are you adopted? Are you adopted?" They're like, no. And so, long story short, Connor woke up one night in the middle of the night, and he's like, "Oh my God, Dad's adopted." He figured it out. So he's a good historian. He did a good job. He got to the truth. This time I didn't know it, but he told my wife. I came home one night, my wife was crying. She was really upset. And first, my first thing is, are the kids okay? Is everybody okay? Is anybody have cancer? What's wrong?
Yeah.
The dog died. What's going on? And she's like, "You're adopted." And I laughed. I literally and she got mad because I was laughing,
Yeah.
And then I was like, I could tell she was like serious, she's like, and so I was kind of still like, no way, So anyways, long story short, Allison and I, which ended up being my sister, I have 3 lovely half sisters and my mom, Ann, my biological mom. Allison and I began to talk, and so I wanted to do a DNA test direct with her because I didn't want my biological mom. I didn't want to not be my biological mom's kid, and I wanted to make sure did she want a relationship? I mean, it's over half a century.
Yeah. It's been a minute.
It's a minute. It's a minute. You know?
I'm pretty sure she didn't forget she had you.
No.
But that's a lot of life in between.
A lot of life. And so we got the results back. We did it remote, of course, and it was 99.8% match. And the only reason that we didn't get that extra, 0.0002%, whatever it was because we didn't walk in together. So now that I knew, I said, okay, look, if your mom, our mom, you need to ask her, would she be comfortable if she found out where her biological son was, her son, right? And so she did. And we arranged to meet him. So my mom died 2 years ago on May 31st, her birthday. The next year, I met my biological mom 1 year to the date on my mom's birthday, May 31st, that I was raised. Wonderful family. And just, the story behind it and when I heard my biological mom's story, it really touched my heart. I wanted to meet her because my mom that I grew up with, which is my mom, she had some horrific things happen to her to set up this whole process. My dad and her were in Germany when my dad was in the Army. He's a captain in the Army. They had a little boy named Bobby. He had a horrific accident. He was on one of those major industrial slides, fell off from the top, hit his head, had a hematoma, and passed. It was horrific. So my dad had to come back. They came back to the States. The Army gave him a leave, obviously, for that reason. And so my mom they were devastated. Losing a child is absolutely the worst, is my worst nightmare. And so she had a baby girl a year later. And unfortunately, my sister, Terry Lee, she was born blind, retarded, no neck muscles. The doctor had only given her really a week to live. And bless my mom, Sarah Louise Banyas, unbelievable, earthly angel. She said, I don't accept that. I'm taking her home. And my sister lived for 3.5 years. So it's absolutely a miracle beyond any doctor's recommendations, what was going to happen. And I contribute that to my mom, my mom that raised me, And so with all this, she then was obviously severe depression, all this good stuff happening, fun stuff. She's suicidal. And so her and my dad, I guess, wanted to fill that void. So they were adopted, which, adoption, I don't know how common it was or wasn't common. But anyways, they went to North Carolina. They adopted a little boy, which was me. And then, it was the only thing I ever thought growing up that was odd is my mom would say, oh, yeah, when we didn't know when we brought you home from the hospital what to call you, so we called you Tonto because you had really dark skin and dark hair. And as even growing up, I'm like, who the hell doesn't know what to name their kid, So this is years later, me looking back.
Yeah.
But anyways, that was the only indication. And then when I heard on that sad side, my mom, Ann, who my biological mom, did not want to give me up. She was a young teenager. She was basically forced to go and then have me and hold me and then give me up to an orphanage for a while. And she was heartbroken over it. So I call this, and why I think God is always involved in the master plan, whether you like it. Here you have two women that both have two horrific stories, right? You have both two women with broken hearts, and you're in the middle.
Yeah.
And you're the common thread that regardless, you're gonna help save somebody's life, right? And so as an older person, so anyways, that's the background of it. As an older person now, I'm glad I didn't know I was adopted, because my family was my family, my uncles, my aunts, my cousins. I never knew. And by the way, a good percentage of them all knew my whole life. And so to validate this, after the blood test, after the whatever, I still called one. I was going to call my aunt, she's an older aunt now. And I called her son and say, hey, look, I want to ask your mom this question. And I don't want to upset her, so I want to know, is she in a state that I can ask her some questions? He immediately says, you're adopted. Immediately. I didn't say anything. He goes, I've known since the time you came home, they brought you home. And it always bothered me. He said, but we loved your parents. We loved you so much that it didn't make a difference. You were family. And they all treated me that way. And he did say, though, he told them, if he ever asked me, I don't care what y'all say, I'm not lying to him. And he said, it took you 54 years to ask me, but you're adopted.
Yeah.
So,
but that, it's, when you call it the beautiful lie, and when you look at most people, when they tell a lie, it's to cover something up for their personal benefit.
yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
And a lie in a case like this, if it's never asked, is it a lie? Is it a lie if you're never asked? And what's really amazing about what I love about this story so far is that you didn't know you were adopted.
Yeah.
You never felt like you were treated anything different. You didn't have any trauma or anything from your childhood that derailed you because of that. So was it wrong? What is, I'm sitting here trying to think, it's like, if I was in your shoes,
Yeah.
would I want to know, now knowing this side of the story, would I want to know, or would I want you to tell me at 7 or 8 years old,
Yeah.
and say, hey, you were adopted, and I just want you, but we love you, and
absolutely not.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I mean, here's the reason why. Like, if my mom and dad were alive today, and they're my mom and dad, they raised me, they invested their time in me, they did it with purpose, they loved me, they protected me. They're my mom and dad, and of course, my mom Ann is my biological mom, is my mom. But my relationship with my father, now looking back, he was my best friend. He was my mentor. He was a business partner with me later in life. And like, I think part of that was because, yes, he thought I was his son, but I was something else. If you've had kids and you have kids, you love your kids. You'll do anything for your kids, but you'll do anything for them because it's your kid, right? That relationship I had with him was unique. Like even all my buddies would be like, wow, you guys have a really unique, and like, I never figured it out, but like, as I got older, I was different. Like I was different. Like you don't choose your kid. You choose to have your kid.
Yeah.
Right. You agree to have your kid, but you don't choose your kid. But when you choose to be a friend, or you choose to be a business partner, like I always just tell my father-in-law in life, like I love my father-in-law is a great man too. I've been very fortunate in my life to have men and women figures that are good mentors, hard workers, just good people. Like I've been coaches. I mean, I've always been surrounded by people that did nothing but want something good for me. But, I told my father one time, we were talking about something, and I said, look, you are my father-in-law, not by choice, right? But you're my friend by choice, and you're my mentor not by choice, because that's my choice. We're mentors. But when we're friends, we mutually agree to respect each other,
right?
To have a different relationship.
Without a doubt.
So that, to me, like with my dad, was more important.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was 18, 16, I wouldn't have been mature enough, and I wouldn't have had that lifetime to see my dad as a granddad, to see my dad do other things in life. And so I feel that 100% it was the greatest gift
that you
from God above that I could have received. And then to give my biological mom closure when I'm, mature enough to not be mad, like, oh, well, why didn't you fight for me? Or why didn't you, stick up for me? Or, well, she was a kid.
Yeah.
Right. And times were different. And so as a young person, I don't think I could have been where I'm at to understand what it's like.
Yeah.
Anyways.
No, it's going to be interesting to see. I hope that this spurs some comments and conversation on it, because I can imagine that there's two sides to this, and then there's those in the middle that are trying to make that decision.
Yeah.
Are we going to tell them or not? Right? There's someone watching this, or someone that will watch it, and they've got that child at home, and they're trying to make this decision.
Yeah. Yeah. I would tell you, because I'm not a parent in that case, but I'm the subject in that case. And I would tell you that a young child doesn't have the wisdom. They just want to be loved. They just want to be cared for. And so if you claim your mom or your dad, then be mom or dad and protect them at all costs.
Yeah.
because for whatever reason they were given up for adoption. It could have been a bad reason. It could have been the person didn't want to do it. It could have been horrific. It could have been drugs. It could have been a million things, but that wasn't that child's decision.
Yeah.
Right. And so a lot of all these feel-good shitheads out here in the world that think that everybody should be able to, shut up. Like, do what's best for the kid. And if there's no benefit for you to tell that kid, the only thing I would say, like later in life, like when I was old enough, right, I still probably wouldn't want to have known. But if I would have known, I probably would have looked for my mother earlier, right? Okay. But let's be honest, without all these DNA crazy stuff going on, this never would have been uncovered. I mean, because you go into a secret box and
I've got it off record because I can't say it while the video's going. I got a buddy that had a DNA test done. Yeah. And let me just tell you, his results are not what he thought they were going to be. We'll talk about it after this because he'll have to edit it out and he'll get upset with us. But no, I know. So that's the reason why we're going to say after it's doing. All right, so if we're looking at that, so that event happened. You find out.
Yeah.
Your wife's crying. You're like, this can't be. This.
Yeah. I didn't believe it.
You didn't believe it. What was it like navigating, or who did you go to, or what did you do? How did you navigate through that? One or two things that if someone finds themselves in a situation like this, like what was it to navigate through it? Because you seem like you're in a very healthy spot on this side of it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was emotional, obviously. And why I was emotional was because I was sad I wasn't my dad's blood. I was sad because he's my dad. And so I took, and then you start thinking, oh shit, well, my grandparents really aren't my grandparents or so I had those moments. Right.
Yeah.
But then I was like, that's why people have friends, right? So you can tell friends anything, whatever. Like my family and that I grew up, my dad, they were my friends. They were looking after me, right? So once I kind of settled that, the first thing I did is when I understood the circumstance with my mom, I said, I want to meet my biological mom. Yeah. I want to meet my sisters. And if they want to have a relationship with me, I want a relationship with them because my sisters did not know of me until later when they were in their 20s. And then they, mom told them kind of what went on, what happened. So,
Yep.
And so I've seen my new three sisters, and I've seen my mom like 8-9 times in the last year. I've seen my biological mom, my other mom always passed, and my sisters, I've gone out to see them. So I would just tell people the thought process you go through is, are there things you can change? And if you can't change them, why even think about them anymore? Mm-hmm. And, in my case, we have a good friend that we were talking about. He's like, it's an amazing story because there's two roads. That whole event could have been horrific.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. So whether you're a religious person or not, there is a God, and God has a plan and a structure, and he allowed this to bring it back to closure. And it also gives you a chance, to be honest with you, as a man, to be like, this is pretty cool. I'm kind of new. Like I'm like brand new now. Like shit, I'm brand new.
Yeah.
Like this really wasn't who I was. I don't know this. I'm going to be whoever the hell I want to be. Yeah. I'm going to create a SaltyMF company. Yeah. I don't give a shit. Right? Yeah. It's awesome. It was freeing because it was truthful. It was good. There was no malintent for me on either side. And it was perfect.
And that ends out is the perfect lie.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I mean, because if one of those things are askew, right, it could be just completely the opposite of that. Right. And I love the whole family. I mean, it was it was not just a decision with a mom and a dad.
Yeah.
It was the family that came together and said, okay, this is what we're going to do. And it's probably from pain and from disappointment that the family had for your mom and dad.
Oh, yeah.
Of the past. It's like, okay, hey, we may not, this isn't the way we would do it, but they were going to honor their pain and the joy that they had in bringing you home, that they didn't want any division whatsoever. And I think that's pretty salty. Your mama was salty. You saw about the guy on the beach being salty. She's salty because I can imagine the comments. I mean, She's pretty awesome.
She was a tiny little lady and beautiful. They had the sad thing, like you think things just happen to bad people and all this. My dad came out of the coal mines, got a college scholarship, All-American, Bears wanted him, the Packers wanted him, goes to the Army. He's like Captain America. The dude's a stud. Mom's a pageant person, academic, beauty queen. They look like two perfect individuals. And what happens? Yeah. That tragedy strikes. So yes, my mom as that tiny little lady. I'll never forget. My dad was a funny guy, man. He was a trip. He would say shit that I don't even say, which is crazy. if you guys know me. And he was laying there and he was sick, and my mom was doing something, and he said, I said, Dad, well, Mom, whatever. And he just goes, she's relentless. She's just relentless. She's tiny, but she's relentless. She's going to wear you down. And boy, if you did anything to her boys or her daughter, I have a brother and sister that I grew up with. And she gets you, man. She turned that sweet little Southern East Tennessee accent off and get you.
That is awesome. What is the a couple of, we call them the double D's.
Yeah.
Right. The daily discipline. So those double D's, right? Maybe you like double E's. I don't know.
But in the salty world, double D's means a little different, but I got it.
I know. So they mean it there too, but it's kind of like that, MF, right? It's there. Maybe we need to get a hat.
Double D's hat.
Trust me, I got you. I got your double D.
Yeah, I hear you.
We got a T-shirt. Brooks is gonna do it up. All right. But what are some of those daily disciplines that you have, man? Because you seem full of joy.
Yeah.
You're creating fun brands that are intentional back with your kids. You're having conversations with dudes on the beach. Yeah. Like what are some of those disciplines that someone wants what you got? What do they need to do?
I tell everybody this, and that, there's a point I was an athlete growing up and, did all kinds of, training and working out and all that stuff. And then my midlife, you get to where you kind of get comfortable and complacent. And, I gained a ton of weight. I'm a big dude, but, I got 280. I was a big dude. And I was depressed after my dad died, and obviously I was really close to him. So for about a year there, I was really in a bad place. And so I gained a ton of weight. I love to drink beer and eat food and do all that good stuff. Still do, but I just don't do as much of it. And so I say my daily discipline, the first thing I do is I exercise. And I made a commitment to myself to be disciplined about 5 years ago, and I do it every day. And what I tell people, it's not what you look like physically. It literally changes the chemistry in your body. Your serotonin, your dopamine, gives you more energy. We're built to move. So I would tell anybody out there, if you want to mentally be in a good state, right, and want to try to keep your chemicals balanced, do some type of exercise. You don't have to go balls to the wall or, eat lettuce. You don't have to do that. That's a really good thing. I would say I'm not really a church goer type person, but I am very spiritual with God. I believe in God just from the goodness of things that have happened to me and looking back and things that have occurred with me. So I pray while I'm in the gym. I do this weird thing. I balance on this really small ball, and it looks bizarre to see someone like me, like I'm a SEAL.
Do you wear a SaltyMF hat or T-shirt?
Beanies. I have beanies. I always wear a beanie. But yeah, I'll wear them every now and then. But so I literally give homage to God when I'm, balancing on that ball. So when all you people out there saying, what's this wacko doing on the ball? I'm actually giving homage to God, who has been good to me. So those are the two disciplines. And then I would just say the third thing that I do every day is I reflect on things. Is it worth it? Right? Yeah. Are things worth it? Like, are you really getting upset about things that you can't change? And, always like I say, if you can't change it, ignore it.
The mirror. Well, that lets us know. I think we went on our time here, but he says we're fine.
The producer guy's walking in the show. What the hell's going on here? But I was about to start crying.
If you want a quality podcast, I'm talking good shit. You call Open Art Media, and they'll walk through your set. They'll walk right through your set.
This will be my next ad.
Hey, Hey, this was the moment I was going to start singing "The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow."
Oh yeah,
The sun will come out. Yeah. Anyway.
No, so
those are really the three things. So exercise, prayer, if you want to call it prayer, and the third is really just kind of reflection about things that happen in your life. How should you react to them?
Yeah.
And those three things kind of keep me balanced.
Yeah.
I have a very good support staff, though. I have a very good family. My family's close. My wife's awesome. I have a very good support group around me. That I'm a nutty dude, and I do some off the wall shit. And if it wasn't for people around me that really picked up where they knew I'm going to drop the ball, so I've been very blessed.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. The thing is, from Vision Wars, we're Christian-based organization, actually filed and incorporated as a church and operate. But here's the great thing is that an entry in, you don't have to agree to our doctrine or our belief. Yeah. You just have to be able to convince everybody that that there is a God.
Yeah.
And you're not it, right? And then you're moving towards a God who you understand and work in that direction. And I think if everybody could just accept everybody in that setting, we don't have to all agree whether it's politics, faith, whatever it is.
Yeah. And
just know that we're not in charge, right? We're not in charge.
100%. And that's why, I'm a Christian. I agree. I was raised, I've been a Catholic, a Baptist, a Presbyterian, a Methodist. I've been everything but a Buddhist or something else. But the reality of it is I never try to argue with religion, because certain parts of people, maybe they're Islamic, whatever they are, that's what they're raised. That's what they believe. I know as a Christian, you're supposed to be, Jesus Christ. But the reality of it is, look, people need to stop. They need to worry about themselves and their relationship with God.
Yeah.
Not everybody else is. You need to tell the story and do your witness of why God means something to you, which I just did that, by the way. I didn't pick that up. But the reality of it is, you have to find your peace with God.
Yeah.
And before you find your peace with God or yourself, don't tell anyone else what to do.
Yeah.
So
it's what's really interesting in this, and I just want to commend you on this. And we were talking about it in a meeting last night. This came up, and I forget who shared it with me. Is before I can be a father or a friend, a brother, or anything, I have to be a son. And I have to be a son of the Most High, not the son of my earthly father, but my heavenly Father. And if I can get that relationship, my relationship, it can look completely different than yours, right? But if what my relationship is with my God, then it's there to know that I'm loved and that there's good, and that while I may not understand it, it's going to work. It's going to work out the way that it should, as long as I do the next right thing.
I want to tell you a bizarre story before we leave, and it's totally unrelated. But
that's all right. You want to say it now on here?
I want you to finish. I didn't.
No. So that's the biggest thing, and that's just what I hear. When we talk about an epic life, I think to be able to have an epic life, you have to be doing epic shit. Yeah. Right. You can't be sitting on the sidelines and like, man, life sucks. I don't have this. You're not going to have an epic life. You're still going to have
I don't hang around those people.
But and the only time I ever do is not by choice. It's like, okay, sorry, when's this plane gonna land?
Yeah.
If it's my car, I can open the door and you can get them out pretty quick, right? And I'll turn the car around and take them back somewhere pretty quick. It's like, but to do that, you have to have it, and that's what of a very heavy topic that we've talked about.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's actually purpose in some of this stuff we're doing. Hopefully people are tuned into it. It's a cool story and everything, but the reality of it, it's a deeper, there's deeper stuff to what went on, why it went on. And, and I hopefully people pick that up.
Yeah, man. But
I have one story about God. I got to tell you.
Tell it. Let's roll it right here.
So, by the way, my mom's parents, specifically her dad, his name was Paul Slaughter. I was very close to him. He was a very good man, honest man, religious man, Christian man, just a good man. And I didn't get to see him as much when we were little, because we lived in Atlanta, he lived in Tennessee, then we moved to Boston. And so I didn't get to see him as much, but he was my favorite person in the world. When I go, he'd spend time with me, sleep with him, we hang out. I was like his boy. He took me everywhere, bought me my first buck knife, which is awesome. He used to carve apples on his...
Did you cut yourself?
Yeah, no, never cut myself. He used to slice apples on his porch. but we had a really connected, relationship. And that's interesting now even more because I was adopted when I found out after that. So that even more, it meant more to me. And one night when we were in Boston, I was probably 12, 13 years old. I woke up and I could not breathe. Went in my mom's room. I'm like, hyperventilating. And there's nothing wrong with me. I've never had any kind of asthma, any kind of nothing ever. And I literally, so my mom gets up, she freaks out, drives me to the hospital. I remember hanging out the window, trying to breathe. Obviously I had enough air not to die. But we get to the hospital. We're in the hospital. I'm there. They're checking me out. They're looking me over. I'm breathing in some bag, And about 15 minutes after we got to the hospital, I just started breathing, and they're all looking around like, what's going on with this? I mean, and they're like, he's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with him. I don't know what this is. Maybe he had an asthma attack, whatever. My mom's arguing with him. He doesn't have asthma, whatever. So we go home we go home, I go to sleep. Next morning I wake up, walk in my mom's room. She's crying and, she's upset. I'm like, hey mom, I'm cool. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened, but I feel great. What's wrong with me? She's like, no, your grandfather's lung collapsed last night. When his lung collapsed is when I wasn't breathing. And then by the time they got him in the hospital was around the same time. And when they got him on the ventilator, I started breathing again. And you can say that's a coincidence. You can whatever. Like what people don't believe or understand, Kirk, is we're all connected.
Yes, we are.
There's a lot of bullshit going on in the world where they want to separate gender, males from females, blacks from whites, Asians from whatever. It's all bullshit, guys. I mean, we are all connected. We are all men. We are all women. We are all humans. And there's so much noise in the world that intuition or that special something where you're connected at a higher level through God, whatever it may be, is being blocked. And so one of the things you asked about from your daily, your daily routines or whatever is learn to block out a lot of stuff that doesn't really impact you at the end of the day. Doesn't matter. Yeah. And you'll free your damn mind. You'll become really what you are meant to be. So that's it. I thought.
No, and then look, man, and I don't really have to say much on top of it other than the fact that it's just truth. It's like, but look, divisiveness breeds opportunity for people to take advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
When we're focused on where all our differences are,
right,
is where agenda and everything opposite of what you experienced for 54 years, right?
Yeah.
You had a unity and a family that accepted someone in,
right,
as even down to your uncle.
No.
Right? Like everybody was bought in, and just think of just a little piece of that beautiful lie. If we carried it daily with us, then we wouldn't be focused on all our differences. We'd be focused on all the similarities. And, as it was told to me, one of the first meetings I ever went into when I entered recovery, I was young and I was looking at all these old farts, right, with canes and blah. Yeah, it's like, dude, I'm missing a fraternity party, a couple of dates and all this. And they're talking about, all the, I was like, shit, we don't have anything.
Yeah.
Like I've got 40, 50 more years of drinking before I even need to think I got a problem.
Yep.
And an old timer walked up to me. He's like, you need to look for the similarities, not the differences.
Yeah.
And that has carried me really, really well for many years. And I just appreciate you sharing your story, man. I look forward to getting to know you even more. And I do have, so if you want to block out all the craziness, you can wear aluminum foil around your head and you'll look like a nut job. Or you can go over there to SaltyMF and you can buy you a freaking hat. And it's guaranteed to block all the bullshit.
That's right.
All that. So that's the blood for SaltyMF. Get you a hat. The gray one right here works pretty well. They probably got some black ones.
We got plenty of stuff.
They got plenty of stuff. But if you buy one, it will block the BS of this world and let you think clearly.
Well, as my father, Michael Banyas, used to say, old Mickey Mad Mike, he would say, son, don't bullshit the bullshitters.
Amen.
So, there you go.
You can't do it. Thanks for being here today.
Hey, man, thank you.
Yep, I appreciate it very much. And don't check back with us next week for another great story from being cattywampus to maybe being somewhat straightened out, but we're all a little cattywampus.
Crooked, maybe.
Crooked. But come on back next week. Thanks for watching.